Smoke curled off the rotor blades as Lieutenant Ariana Blaze Montoya stared down the flight line, her boots still streaked with grease. Today, she wasn't fixing birds, she was flying one. Behind her, whispers rose. She'll never make it. Ahead, the tarmac shimmered like a fuse waiting to be lit. She tightened her gloves and stepped forward. If you're here for grit, rotor blades, and a woman rewriting the rules at 10,000 feet, you're in the right place. I'd love to know, where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Now buckle up, because we head to Fort Novosel, where Lieutenant Montoya's journey into the fire truly begins. Ariana Montoya wiped a streak of grease from her cheek with the back of her glove. The sun was already high, making the metal skin of the Apache hot under her arms. She leaned into the open rotor panel and tightened the last bolt with practiced care. Overhead, two Apaches cut across the sky, blades chopping the air. Smooth turns. Fast climb. Clean exit. She stepped back and looked up. They were trainees. Same school she'd applied to. Probably fresh out of West Point or some fancy program. Nice flying, she said quietly. Too bad your trim's off. Behind her, a familiar voice spoke. Talking to birds again? Ariana turned her head, smiling. They don't talk back, Chief. Ellie Stroud walked up holding a clipboard and a bottle of water. Her boots stopped just short of the rotor shadow. You nearly done with that main gear? Almost, Ariana said, grabbing a torque wrench. Just needed the right socket. You always say that right before something breaks. Ariana chuckled. Well, not today. Ellie handed her the water. You've been out here since 6. Didn't want anyone touching this one before me. She's been acting funny and hover. Ellie nodded. She trusts your hands. Ariana leaned into the rotor one more time, adjusting the torque just slightly. The sound of another Apache lifting off pulled her gaze. Dust kicked up all around them. She didn't flinch. I could fly that pattern better, Ariana said without looking away. You're still a mechanic, Ellie said gently. For now. The two of them stood in silence for a moment. The sky was wide, open, waiting. Another bird climbed, banking left over the tree line. You know, Ellie said, new training list goes up today. I know. You check it yet? Nope. You should. Ariana took a long sip from the bottle, then tightened the last bolt and stepped back. She ran a hand along the edge of the blade, her touch light but certain. You think they'd actually pick me? She asked. Ellie shrugged. Stranger things have happened. Most of them don't wear my name. You've got more hours under that hood than some of them have in the air. Doesn't always matter. Maybe not. But this time, maybe it does. A gust rolled through, carrying more heat and grit. Ariana blinked through it, then looked back at the base buildings in the distance. A small crowd had already gathered at the admin office. Ellie saw it too. Lists up. Ariana said nothing. You coming or what? She didn't answer right away. She just looked up again at the sky, squinting past the sun, watching the last Apache disappear over the horizon. Then she nodded once, quiet and sure. Yeah, she said. Let's go find out. The hallway outside admin was already packed. Boots echoed off the polished floors. Voices buzzed, hopeful, nervous, some pretending not to care. Ariana kept her eyes forward. The roster was taped to a corkboard on the wall. Plain white sheet, bold black letters. It looked small for something that could change your life. Ellie walked just behind her. You sure you want to look? Ariana didn't answer. She stepped through the crowd without pushing. She wasn't big, but people moved when they saw her coveralls and grease-streaked sleeves. Maybe they thought she was lost. Or joking. She reached the list and scanned it line by line. Apache Flight Program, Class 312. Montoya, A, LT. There it was. No middle initial. No asterisk. No mistake. She blinked once, then read it again, slower. Still there. Her name, clear as the sky outside. Behind her, someone scoffed. Loud enough to be heard, soft enough to deny. You've got to be kidding. Ariana didn't turn. She didn't need to. She knew the voice, Riker Kane. One of the Golden Boys. Square jaw, polished boots, name stitched on every flight jacket like he owned the air. You got a problem? Ellie asked, arms crossed. I just thought this was a pilot list, Riker said, smiling without warmth. Not a maintenance roster. Ellie started to speak, but Ariana raised a hand. It's fine, she said, still looking at her name. I'm used to being the surprise. Riker leaned on the wall beside her. Hope you packed more than a wrench. Up there, it's different. Ariana looked at him then. Calm, even. Good. I'm different too. Someone behind them chuckled. A few others stepped closer to see the list. Ariana stepped back, letting them look. Ellie nodded toward the door. Come on. Let's go before I forget I'm wearing stripes. They walked out together. Outside, the air felt thick, like the heat had weight. Ariana took a long breath, letting it settle. I knew you'd be on it, Ellie said. No, you didn't, Ariana replied, but she smiled a little. But thanks for saying it now. You're gonna be the only one from ground crew. First one in 10 years. Ariana nodded. Let them stare. I'm not here for their comfort. Ellie looked proud, but she didn't say it. She just gave Ariana a small pat on the shoulder. Flight briefing starts at 0600 tomorrow. You show up greasy, I'll deny I know you. I'll be clean, Ariana said. Mostly. They walked in silence for a while, boots crunching on the gravel path back to the hangar. The air smelled like oil and sunburned rubber. Somewhere, a Black Hawk lifted off, its rotors slicing through the afternoon stillness. Ariana looked up just long enough to catch the shimmer of movement in the sky. She could feel it already, the shift. The weight of expectation pressing in. She wasn't just fixing things anymore. She was the thing they didn't see coming. And tomorrow, she'd be airborne. Ariana sat in the left seat of the Apache simulator, hands wrapped around the cyclic. Her heart beat steady. Her breathing slow. This wasn't nerves. This was home. Ready when you are, Lieutenant Montoya, came the voice in her headset. It was clipped, dry, Major Yates. Her lead instructor. Begin standard recon pattern over Sector 5. Copy that, Ariana said. She eased the bird into a slow climb. The simulator didn't give you wind, or smell, or vibration, but it was close enough. Close enough to pretend. Her eyes tracked the fake terrain on the screen as she made a clean bank. In her mind, she felt the weight of the real thing. The hum in her bones. Every motion from her hands was smooth, precise, controlled. 10 minutes later, the sim mission ended. She pulled off her headset and climbed out. Yates stood with arms folded. You skipped the designated flight path. I adjusted for imaginary crosswind and terrain, sir. You adjusted the mission. I stayed on objective. Yates stared at her. That's not how we train. Maybe it should be, she said before she could stop herself. Yates looked down at his clipboard, made a mark, and walked away. Later that afternoon, they flew for real. The difference was night and day. Out in the air, Ariana moved like she belonged. Her Apache hugged the trees low and fast, cutting between hills like water in a stream. Her co-pilot called out distances, she already knew them. When a gust kicked up, she shifted weight before the bird even wobbled. When they landed, even Kane had to nod. Not bad for someone who was turning wrenches last week. Better than watching other people fly, she said, brushing past him. Back in the classroom, her name sat near the bottom of the posted performance sheet. Not because of flying. Because of the boxes. Checklists. Timing. Procedure. She'd nailed every landing and spotted every target. But she didn't call out every command by the book. She didn't pause to ask permission before acting in a scenario meant to simulate chaos. Too quick to improvise, the notes read. Does not follow standard chain of execution. She read it twice, jaw tight. Then folded the sheet and walked away. That night in the barracks, she sat alone at the end of her bunk, rereading the flight manual by flashlight. Highlighter in one hand. Pen in the other. Her boots sat by the wall, still dusty from the day's flight. Ghost, quiet, steady, passed by, then paused. You were the only one who didn't miss that hidden Sam. Ariana looked up. Didn't count. I did it wrong. You did it real, Ghost said. Up there, that's going to matter. Then she walked off. Ariana sat there a moment, the page still open. Her hand didn't move. Outside, rotors spun in the dark, someone else training through the night. Tomorrow, she'd be back in the seat, and this time, she'd speak their language. Just long enough to change it. The night out began like any other, cold air, red cockpit lights, and the low thrum of rotors waiting for release. Ariana sat in the left seat again, this time paired with light Ghost Hayes, her quiet bunkmate and a natural at navigation. Comms check, Ghost said. Loud and clear, Ariana replied, flipping switches. Flight 3, ready. Above them, stars disappeared behind low cloud cover. No moon. No margin. The mission, recon sweep, low altitude, no weapons hot. Just observe, report, return. They lifted as one of 3 birds, spaced tight, moving through darkness like shadows. 15 minutes in, something felt wrong. Nav's acting weird, Ghost said. Waypoint just jumped east. Terrain doesn't match, Ariana said, scanning the map. We're off. A burst of static hit their comms. Then silence. She tapped the panel. Switched frequencies. Nothing. I'm trying secondary, Ghost said. A flicker on the console. Then a red warning, live fire zone, active. Ariana's blood ran cold. That's not our sector. No, it's not, Ghost said. Through the canopy, she saw tracer rounds arc in the distance. Just faint glimmers. Too close for comfort. Flight 3 to control, do you read? Ariana tried again. Static. She tightened her grip on the cyclic. We've lost the lead bird. We need to break west, now. Ghost hesitated. That's off mission protocol. If we stay, we're in the wrong sandbox. Another burst of static. Then a clipped voice broke through, systems fail, do not, repeat, break. Then silence again. That's Kane, Ariana said. They're in trouble. She scanned the dark, then spotted it, a flash below. Not gunfire. A flare. Kane's bird is down, Ariana said. 2 clicks south. Ghost looked at her. What do we do? Ariana didn't pause. We go. She turned the bird sharp left, dropping low and fast. Trees blurred past. The terrain was uneven. No guidance. Just instinct and memory from hundreds of hours under the hood. There, Ghost pointed. Flare sight. They landed fast, skids skimming rough ground. Ariana kept one hand on the collective as Ghost opened comms on the emergency band. 2 shapes ran from the brush, Kane and his co-pilot. Blood on one leg, limping. But alive. They climbed in fast. Kane strapped in, breathing hard. Didn't think it'd be you. Ariana didn't answer. She pulled pitch and lifted before the ground had a chance to argue. Back in the air, they cleared the ridge and finally reconnected to control. Flight 3 returning with 2 survivors, Ghost called in. Bird 3 is lost. Crew secured. Control confirmed. Copy. Proceed to base. Debrief on landing. Ariana stayed quiet the whole way back. Her hands steady. Her eyes scanning sky and ground. When they touched down, the base lights looked harsher than usual. She powered down, heart still thumping under her flight vest. Kane climbed out slowly, limping. He looked back at her once, then gave a small nod. Ariana didn't nod back. She just looked up at the sky. The debrief room was cold, all steel and silence. Ariana sat with her back straight, boots flat, hands folded in her lap. Major Yates stood at the front with his usual clipboard. He didn't look up right away. Last week, he began, a systems failure put Flight 3 into restricted airspace. 1 bird lost. 2 rescued. No fatalities. He looked up now, eyes sharp. Against protocol, Lieutenant Montoya deviated from mission plan. Landed in an active zone. Extracted both crew members. Flight log confirms her decision saved lives. No one spoke. A few glanced Ariana's way. Some nods. A few tight jaws. Yates closed the folder. Which brings us to the next phase, Red Sky. That got attention. Red Sky was no regular training op. It was real ammo, real stress, a test for pilots chosen for command. 3 crews. 1 lead bird, Yates said. Simulated enemy positions. Full blackout. Night assault with aerial and ground coordination. He paused. Flight led. Montoya. Ariana blinked. Sir? You heard me. Some muttering in the back. Kane shifted in his seat. Ghost just looked over, calm as ever. You'll brief your crew at 0600, Yates continued. Mission starts at 2200. You'll coordinate with ground teams and call shots from the air. Ariana stood slowly. Permission to speak, sir? Go. Why me? Yates didn't answer right away. He walked around the table, slow. You don't follow rules well, he said. You act too fast. Question authority. Annoy instructors. Someone coughed behind her, probably laughing. But, Yates continued, when things fell apart, you saw the map change before the rest of us knew it had. He stopped in front of her. You've got instincts I can't teach. That doesn't make you better. But for this? It might make you right. Ariana nodded once. Yes, sir. Make it work, Yates said. Dismissed. Later, Ariana stood outside the hangar, helmet under one arm, wind tugging at her sleeves. The sun dipped low, sky glowing red-orange. Footsteps behind her. Kane. Didn't expect that, he said. Neither did I. You gonna get us killed up there? She looked at him. No. You coming? He shrugged. I fly where they send me. Long as you don't take us sightseeing again. She smirked. Only if the map breaks. He nodded. Not a compliment, not quite approval. But not nothing. When he walked off, Ghost appeared, silent as ever. You ready? She asked. Ariana looked out toward the darkening sky. Her fingers curled tighter around the helmet. I've been ready. Ghost smiled, just barely. Then they're lucky. A siren sounded from the far side of base, the signal for night prep. Teams started moving fast. Lights dimmed. Engines spun up. Ariana turned and walked toward the briefing room, heart steady. This time, she wasn't just flying. She was leading. The desert was pitch black. No moon, no lights. Just wind sliding over the ridgelines and the steady chop of 3 Apaches in formation. Ariana led the flight low over the terrain, her eyes locked on the HUD. Check your zones, she said into comms. We hit target marker 7 in 4 mics. Copy, flight lead, Ghost replied from the right seat. Calm as always. The HUD glowed soft green, numbers scrolling as they descended toward the dry riverbed. Ariana tracked everything, altitude, speed, terrain. Then it all blinked. Once. Twice. Gone. Ghost, I lost visuals. Same here, Ghost said. Comms are fuzzing. A burst of static hit her ear. Then silence. The HUD was dark. No NAV markers. No friendly tags. Just black. Flight 2, report, Ariana called. No answer. Flight 3, check in. Nothing. Ghost tapped controls. Systems aren't responding. Feels like more than a glitch. Then came the flash, quick, high, off the left horizon. A second later, something zipped past the canopy. Thin, fast, and very real. What was that? Ghost checked scopes. Drone fire. Real rounds. Not simulation. Ariana's heart jumped. Live? Not ours, Ghost said. Not part of this op. Ariana leveled them off, pulled them tighter to the ground. The desert blurred below. Evasion pattern Delta, she said. Manual only. Ghost flipped switches. If this isn't part of the exercise. It's not, Ariana said. We're in a blackout with live fire and no friendlies marked. This is wrong. Another drone streaked overhead, this one closer. Its rounds tore a trail across the sand beside them, missing by meters. Ghost's voice was tighter now. I'm reading a rogue injection. Training code's been spiked with something else. You mean we've been hacked? Ghost nodded. Looks that way. Ariana scanned the skies, trying to see through the dark. Then we pulled the team. Manual recall. No HUD. Visual contact only. Think they'll follow you? They'll follow someone who sounds like they know where they're going. She banked left, hard and low. Through the clouds of sand, she saw it, one of their birds. Wobbling. No lights. That's Flight 2, she said. They're blind. She clicked the exterior lights once, long, short, a pattern they drilled on day one. A pause. Then the other bird blinked back. They saw us, Ghost said. Now we find 3. Behind them, another flash lit the sky. This time, something exploded. Fast, Ariana said. Before one of us disappears. They cut across the ravine, climbing just high enough to see. There, the third Apache, diving between 2 hills, its trail jittery. Ghost toggled emergency lights again. This time, no reply. Ariana cursed under her breath and pushed the throttle. If I can get them visual, they'll follow. That's a gamble, Ghost said. Everything good is, Ariana replied. She locked her eyes on the distant shape and dove. Behind her, another drone rose from the shadows. The wind howled harder the higher they climbed. Lightning cracked across the sky, wide, blinding forks tearing through clouds like ripped paper. The air ahead boiled with gray and blue. A desert storm, full force. Ariana gripped the cyclic tight. Storm wall ahead. Visibility near 0. Ghost looked up from the flickering console. We'll lose what little NAV we've got. We've already lost it, Ariana said. We go old school. She tapped her helmet. Eyes. Hands. Feel. Behind them, the 2 other Apaches followed in a shaky wedge, lights off, instruments barely alive. Every second the rogue drones could return. Turning back wasn't an option. Another crack of lightning split the sky, and Ariana flinched as thunder shook the cockpit. Hold steady, she told herself. Watch the ridge. They flew low, riding the dips and rises of the land, chasing shadows and memory. Ariana traced the riverbed below, the same one they crossed on the way in. It's shallow, she muttered. Still dry. If we hug the bottom. Ghost nodded. It'll act like a tunnel. Shield us. Exactly. She dipped the nose, easing them into the canyon. Wind screamed past them now, ripping at the frame. Rain slammed the canopy like gravel. Stay tight, Ariana said into comms. Do not climb. Match my line. Trust your hands. To her surprise, a voice crackled back. Copy, flight lead, came Kane's voice. Eyes on you. She allowed herself half a breath. Let's bring this thing home. The riverbed curved left, then right, with steep sides rising on either edge. Lightning flashed again, but now above them. The walls shielded the worst of it. Ariana felt every twitch in the controls, adjusting in inches. Behind her, the other birds mirrored her moves. Suddenly, the canyon narrowed. A downburst shoved the Apache hard to one side. Ghost braced. We've got crosswinds. I feel it. Ariana banked hard, skimming a boulder, then leveled out just above the ground. The wind screamed louder, but she didn't flinch. Hold your line, she said. Don't panic. Trust the craft. She couldn't see the other birds, but she felt them. The weight of them behind her. Following not just her path, but her belief. They flew like that for 5 more minutes, a lifetime in chaos. Then, up ahead, lights. Not lightning this time. Runway lights. Ghost sat straighter. We're close. Ariana clicked comms. Control, this is flight lead. 3 birds inbound, instruments dead, flying manual. A pause. Then, flight lead, you are clear to land. We have you on radar. Relief hit her like a punch. But she didn't relax. Not until the skids touched solid ground and the storm roared behind them, locked outside. The rotors slowed. The hangar teams sprinted out. Ariana pulled her helmet off, soaked with sweat. Kane passed by her bird, gave a small salute. Ghost gave a tired nod. Ariana just looked at the sky, black, cracked with fading lightning. Still flying. Still standing. The hangar lights were still warming up when Ariana stepped off the tarmac, helmet in hand, boots heavy with sand and rain. She expected cheers. A handshake. Maybe just a nod of respect. Instead, Major Yates stood waiting. Stone-faced. Clipboard tucked tight under one arm. Debrief room. Now, he said. No welcome. No well done. Ariana glanced back. Kane was limping toward Med. Ghost gave her a subtle look, somewhere between you got this and good luck. She followed Yates without a word. Inside, the debrief room was colder than before. 3 officers sat at the long table. No one smiled. Colonel Beck, head of the training division, sat in the center. She wore reading glasses, but didn't look down at any paper. Lieutenant Montoya, she said. We have questions. Yes, ma'am. You broke formation. Abandoned simulation protocol. Issued commands during system blackout without authorization. Yes, ma'am. You led 3 aircraft through a live fire zone. Through an electrical storm. No working nav. Ariana kept her jaw steady. Yes, ma'am. And I brought all 3 home. Yates stood behind the colonel, arms crossed, saying nothing. Beck's voice stayed flat. This isn't a medal ceremony. It's an investigation. Ariana blinked. Ma'am? We're reviewing decisions made during Red Sky, Beck said. Until then, you're grounded. No flight clearance. But we were attacked, Ariana said. Someone corrupted the SIM code. That wasn't training fire out there. Beck exchanged a glance with the officer beside her. We're aware of irregularities, she said. Cybercom is investigating. But that doesn't absolve you from chain of command violations. I did what I had to, Ariana said, heat rising in her throat. If I waited for orders, we'd be picking up bodies. Beck's eyes didn't move. Dismissed. Ariana stood still. Then Yates spoke for the first time. Quiet. Almost reluctant. Lieutenant. Step outside. She turned, walked out, chest tight, pulse pounding. Outside, the hallway buzzed with voices. A few cadets passed her, avoiding eye contact. One of them muttered something under his breath. She ignored it. Kept walking. Fast. Out the door. Into daylight. The storm had passed, leaving puddles and silence behind. Ghost caught up with her near the barracks. "Well," they asked. "I'm grounded." Ghost didn't look shocked. Just exhaled. "They're scared," they said. "You flew without rules. Made it back. Now they have to explain why you were right and they weren't." Ariana kicked a rock into a puddle. "They want me to sit quiet while they clean up the mess." Ghost looked up at the sky. "You ever sit quiet before?" Ariana shook her head. "Then don't start now." Far in the distance, a drone buzzed overhead. One of theirs this time. Still flying, still watching. Ariana watched it disappear behind a cloud. She wasn't done. She was just grounded. For now. The hearing room was plain. Tan walls. Military seal. No windows. Ariana sat alone at the back. No uniform today, she wasn't allowed to wear it. Up front, officers filed in. Back again. 2 cyber investigators. 1 rep from Training Command. 1 from JAG. A few faces she didn't know. A few she knew too well. And then came Yates. He entered calm, straight-backed, no notes in hand. The lead officer nodded to him. "Major Yates, proceed." Yates didn't sit. He stood behind the witness podium and looked around the room like he was reading the air. "I'm here to speak on the performance of Lieutenant Ariana Montoya during Red Sky." A pause. Ariana kept her hands folded tight in her lap. "She broke protocol," Yates said. "That's fact." He let that hang. "She also brought 3 aircraft home through a blacked-out sky, a live fire zone, and an electrical storm, with 0 injuries, 0 losses, and 0 damage to U.S. assets." Another pause. The room was still. "She shouldn't have had to," Yates continued. "Red Sky was compromised. Rogue code spiked the SIM, cyber team confirmed that this morning." Beck leaned in slightly. "We're aware. What you may not be aware of," Yates said, voice steady, "is that the injection came from inside the base." Heads turned. Ariana froze. Yates continued. "A training tech altered the scenario parameters. It was supposed to simulate HUD failure. But someone patched in hostile drone behavior from a combat archive. The goal? Push the flight into failure." A long silence followed. Beck asked, "Why?" Yates looked toward Ariana. "Because someone up the chain didn't believe she belonged in that seat." Murmurs broke out. One officer leaned to whisper to another. Yates didn't flinch. "I didn't either," he said, louder now. "Not at first." Ariana blinked. "I thought she was reckless. Too creative. Didn't follow the book." He paused. "And I was right. A beat. But I've flown with people who follow the book. They stay safe. They get you 90% of the way." He leaned forward. "Montoya flies the mission. She sees what's needed in the moment. And she acts." His voice softened. "When the sky cracked open, when friendlies were blind and the rules fell apart, she didn't freeze. She flew." A longer pause now. No one moved. Yates looked at Beck. "You can ground her. You can write her up. But you'd be throwing away the best combat instinct I've seen in 20 years. He stepped back from the podium. "Some of us fly the book. She flies the mission." Ariana sat still, chest tight. Outside, the wind shifted against the windowless walls. Something felt like it had changed. Not approval. But something better. Recognition. The sun was just breaking across Fort Novosel's airfield, casting long orange lines between rows of darkened choppers. Ariana Blaze Montoya stood alone at the far edge of the flight line, her boots quiet against the concrete. In front of her, the same AH-64 Apache she once patched together in greasy coveralls. The one that carried her through lightning and fire. Now polished. Refueled. Ready. She ran her fingers along its side. Warm from the rising sun. Solid. Familiar. "Miss me?" she murmured. The steel didn't answer. But the hum in her chest did. Behind her, a group of fresh recruits stepped off a bus, stiff uniforms, clean boots, wide eyes. Just like she once was. "Which one's Montoya?" one whispered. "That's her," another replied, pointing. "Storm flight." Ariana smirked but kept her eyes on the Apache. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. Ghost approached from the side, coffee in hand. They looked terrified. "They should be," Ariana said. "They're about to learn how to fly. You gonna scare 'em?" She turned. "Nah. I'll let the sky do that." Ghost chuckled. "Heard the official orders came in this morning. You're not just training anymore." Ariana nodded. "They gave me a full unit. Forward ops. Real deployment. Frontline?" She shrugged. "Close enough to hear the thunder." Ghost took a long sip, then offered the cup. She took it, drank. "You earned this," Ghost said. "Every inch of it." Ariana looked out across the airfield as the new cadets formed into rows. An instructor began barking directions. One of the Apaches fired up behind them, rotors spinning slow and steady. Her Apache. She turned back to it. Climbed the side ladder. Placed her helmet inside. Fingers rested a moment on the throttle. "I used to think they had to give me permission," she said. "To lead. To fly. To belong." Ghost looked up. "And now?" Ariana jumped down. Boots hit the ground firm. "Now I know the sky doesn't care who signs the orders. It just wants to know if you're ready." From across the tarmac, Major Yates approached, clipboard under one arm. He gave a short nod. "Not cold. Not warm. But clear. We launch at 0600 tomorrow," he said. "Briefing at 0500. Ariana saluted. "Understood, sir." He turned to go, then stopped. "You break protocol out there," he said over his shoulder. "Just make sure you break it the right way." Ariana grinned. "That's the only way I know." Yates kept walking. The rotors behind her sped up, wind kicking dust across her boots. Ariana stood tall, eyes on the sky, storm-free but never quiet. This was her sky now. If this story moved you, drop a like, subscribe for more missions like Storm Flight, and tell me, what did you feel when Ariana took the lead? I want to hear your voice in the comments.